On this edition of Alberta Dugout Stories, the podcast, 6-year major leaguer and 16-year pro Keith Comstock joins us to talk about his career, his time with the Calgary Cannons, and the infamous baseball card. Welcome to episode 160 of Alberta Dugout Stories, the podcast. I'm Joe McFarland. Keith Comstock was a fifth-round pick of the California Angels back in 1976. He went on to spend 16 years in pro baseball, including 6 in the majors. Near the end of that journey, he pitched in 20 games for the Pacific Coast League's Calgary Cannons between 1989 and 1991. Comstock might be best remembered, though, for the ball-to-the-groin Pro Cards baseball card when he was with the Las Vegas Stars in 1989, with ESPN calling it the funniest baseball card ever made. Nowadays, Comstock is a coach working with the Texas Rangers as their pitching rehab coordinator. Our Ian Wilson was able to track him down and had this candid conversation about his journey in baseball, which included an earlier stop in central Alberta.
Keith, welcome to Alberta Dugout Stories, the podcast. First off, why don't we start at the beginning? 1975, as a young man, you find yourself pitching for the Red Deer Generals in semi-pro ball. Tell me a little bit about that and how you ended up coming to Red Deer.
Well, it was after my freshman year of college, and guys that had good years in college were often asked to go to certain places like Colorado, and get a chance to go up to Alaska, play in Anchorage, and then there's Canada where guys had an opportunity to go play in Canada as well. And Red Deer was one of the ones that had contacted my college with an opportunity to go up there and pitch during the summer, and the opportunity to go up there also to pitch against older guys, some college guys that were at more experienced colleges like USC, UCLA, and all that. Being a junior college guy, you got the opportunity to go there, you jumped at it, which is what I did.
Yeah. Any memories stand out in particular from that time up north? Was that your first time coming to Canada, and what did you think of it?
Yeah. Well, it was the first time coming up to Canada, and it was in Red Deer. I remember they got me a job pumping gas and also in charge of turning on and turning off automatic water sprinklers, and I got paid to do that. So I actually went there, and I go, okay, what time do they need to get turned on? The guy goes, they're automated. You don't have to turn them on. You just watch them.
Well, that sounds like a good gig.
So then I go, okay, what time do I turn them off? He goes, they're automated. They turn off by themselves.
Yeah, 75 was the year that Jim Bouton of Ball 4 fame ended up pitching for the Calgary Jimmies. He was only here for like a couple weeks in July. Did you end up crossing paths at all with him, or were you aware of that?
I don't think I did. If I did, I don't remember because I got hurt halfway through the season farting around playing football with some of the other guys. Okay. And ended up falling on my shoulder and separating my shoulder. And I told him, I said, I'll only be 2 weeks. I'll be okay in 2 weeks. He said, no, we got to find somebody else. But I was shipped out of there in 3 days.
Oh, wow.
He got hurt. He didn't stick around. They found somebody else down in the States, or found somebody else that they could just, not have to rehab. You needed the pitching staff. You couldn't wait for somebody to get healthy.
Right. And in 1976, you're, of course, drafted by the California Angels in the 5th round. But if I'm not mistaken, it's a bit of a bittersweet time in your life. Your father had cancer. Walk me through that period of your life and just everything that was going on at that time.
It was it was a tough, obviously, being the patriarch of the family with 5 boys. At that time, it was really difficult for me because knowing he was going through the worst part of his life and I was going through the best part of mine, it was tough to find some kind of middle ground for me. And I just remember, he died right before my 21st birthday.
Oh, wow.
Right after right before my 21st birthday. And so, that was a difficult time as well. Not just for me, but for us all. And he never had a chance to see me pitch as a pro. He was supposed to come out and watch me pitch, but I had got hurt, a line drive to my ankle when I was pitching in Lethbridge. And and so they were supposed to come up in 2 weeks, him and my mom, and they never got a chance to see me. So that was some really, really tough time, for me, because he was a big man, and I don't think really cancer that killed him. It was more the radiation.
Okay.
There wasn't any chemo at that time.
Right. How did that influence you in terms of a baseball sense? Was that something you used as kind of motivation? Did you want to pay tribute to your father with your baseball career, that kind of thing, or how did you view that?
Well, at that time, it was a little bit of, most, when you did something good, you call up your mom and you call up your dad, and so you kind of lose that connection when you're not talking to your dad anymore. So it was more of a depression than it was motivation.
Yeah.
And it was like that for a while. Then a good friend of mine and a teammate at that time, Mark Brohard, lost his dad 6 months later. So we connected on that, and then somewhere along the line, depression did start taking over, and then motivation really started. I don't know when it was, probably after my first release, after I got released in '79 with the Angels. And then all of a sudden, I think I got motivated. Some of the things that he had said to me, I started to remember rather than not go to. I started to remember to, and then it became more of a motivation after I got released that first time.
Yeah, you had a lengthy journey through the minor leagues, obviously. And one of the things I found interesting about just kind of reading up on your story is you got a reputation as a prankster and a bit of a jokester over the years. So if we could I'd love to do a little bit of like true and false with some of those stories. 1977, you're with Quad Cities, and you steal the team bus to take your teammates downtown, run over a fire hydrant, and end up in jail. Was that did I read that right?
Yeah, you read that right. Yeah, you read that right. Yeah. Back in the 70s, you could do a lot of things without, there was no internet, there was no YouTube. I would have probably been a YouTube sensation back in those days. But there was nothing that could get us released on, because I was throwing really well, and my manager just came down and just, back in those days, they just fined you, took you out of jail, and that was it. Now, if I was doing really crappy, I probably would have got released, but at that time I was his closer, so I didn't get released.
In 1983, the Oakland A's, they sell you to Detroit for $100 and a bag of balls, and you had to deliver the balls. True or false?
That's true. Yeah. The baseballs were Charlie Finley had wanted to use orange baseballs at one point. They were fluorescent orange baseballs. He wanted to use them for night games. Charlie was a guy back in those days. I was from the Bay Area, so I knew a lot about him just as being a Giants and A's and kind of stuff. But he had this idea of fluorescent baseballs. And obviously they didn't work out. So at some point, we used them as batting practice and stuff like that, but they became they knew that at some point they were going to become collector's items. So Walt Jocketty, who was the farm director at that time, Dick Winsick was a friend of his who was a farm director with the Detroit Tigers. And so when I got sold, which was not uncommon, you either got released or you got sold, you got traded. There are various ways for you to move to different organizations. In today's environment, when I coached the Rangers, we do it for just $1 now.
Yeah.
But back in the days, it was $100. So it was $100, and then he asked me to deliver these orange baseballs to Dick as a friend. And it wasn't like I was upset with or anything like that. It was just a dozen, it was a dozen baseballs. I threw them in my bag. Yeah, no problem. Gave it to him, and then as the story started to prevail more, I started just to kind of go with it, because it was more of a Wikipedia story than anything else. And so I just kind of more elaborated on it as it went. But there was no offense intended. It was more of a gesture from one friend to another. Hey, can you do this? And at that time, I was appreciative of Oakland. They could have easily released me, but they sold me to the Tigers. Tigers needed an older guy at Double-A, and believe it or not, '83 was a big year for me, and it kind of turned my career around. So if I don't get sold, things might not have happened.
And then mid '80s, you make your way over to Japan, and you played under the legendary Sadaharu Oh in Japan. Tell me what that experience was like.
Again, came '84. I spent a little time in the big leagues. Had a really good year in AAA. And '85 was also a collusion year when the owners were colluding, and so it was really hard to move. And so a lot of guys were opting out to go to AAA. I mean, go over to Japan, or just to try to do things to extend their career. At that time, for me, Japan came calling, and I was on the AAA roster for the Twins at that time, and I kind of decided what to do. I talked to the Twins. I wanted to know that their future with me was at that time, and a lot of it was, well, we're not sure what you're going to be. You might be our sixth starter. Hold on, my grandkids are here.
Yeah, no worries.
And so, my grandkids just showed up. So anyway, so I said, well, sixth starter in the big leagues. I'm not sure I've ever heard of a sixth starter before. So
not back in those days,
I got the opportunity to talk to Calvin Griffith about just kind of selling my contract to the Tokyo, getting a chance to go over there. Just for the money. I'd been, minor league kind of put you into debt, and so having a family and stuff, I had the opportunity to go to Japan and make some money and get out of that minor league debt was really attractive to us as a family. And then having to play for the Tokyo Giants was just even that more to I didn't know the history of it. I did some history after I signed with them. And then obviously getting the chance to meet Sadaharu Oh, which was a great privilege, because I really got to see how he went about his work. And Japan did a lot of things for me. It helped me deal with umpiring, which was really bad. And I figured when I came back to the big leagues, it was going to be really bad as a rookie. But it taught me to also pitch in front of crowds, the lights, which was different, and just being around the media and stuff. All that stuff played a big part of me when I came back from Japan. Just being a little bit more mature in those areas really helped me out. I remember going out to dinner from a hotel over there with a couple of other American gaijins that were on the other team, and Osan was still signing autographs at that time, and it was probably maybe 11 o'clock. And we came back maybe about 2 o'clock, and he was still there signing autographs.
Wow.
For 3 hours later. That's just kind of the guy he was. And I remember some of the advice he gave me, and I'll never forget that. He goes, shoot for the moon. If you miss, you're among the stars. And so I always took that to note, too.
Yeah. I read one story where he had actually asked you to strike out during an at-bat so as not to hit into a double play, which I found...
Yeah. That was... It was granted, I didn't have a great batting average at that time, but I went up there with the bases loaded and nobody out. And and right before I walked up to the plate, he just said, he comes over and he goes, Kami-san, I have a very bad feeling about this. And I wish that for you not to swing at anything and just take the out.
Yeah.
And I was like, huh? And he goes, yeah, I have a bad feeling about this. Just kind of like, all right. So I went up to the plate, and the very first pitch, it was this ball that was right down the middle, and I just, instincts took over, and I hit it to the shortstop for easy 6-4 reach up the plate. He wouldn't talk to me for 2 weeks.
Well, there you go. You learn about listening to coach over there too, I guess.
Yeah.
And you also, you're from the San Francisco area, and you got the opportunity to play for San Francisco Giants. What was that like, just getting to suit up, in basically your hometown park? Yeah,
when I came back from Japan, obviously I still had the drive to pitch and was still pitching really well. Just didn't have any opportunities the second year in my Japan experience to go over there. They sent me down to the minors, so I just wanted to come back, and I knew I was still healthy and still pitching, so I just made some phone calls to some teams, and then I just called the Giants, and I remember and just had them, and they said, well, I don't know who we're going to be able to send out there to watch a pitch, because is it a Gold Gate League, which is about 30 miles from my house. And I did that every winter. I pitched in this Golden Gate Park League. And so I said, well, whoever you send out, just have them make a decision, because I'm having other teams out there, and I want to be able to make a decision with these teams. So, and one of them was the Dodgers. And so I remember pitching in that game, and Al Rosen, the general manager of the team, had come by with his wife. They were riding this kind of double bicycle through Golden Gate Park, and had stopped and watched me pitch. And then one of the scouts that also was there was at the Giants had come down and said, Al Rosen would like to see you tomorrow. We'll sign a contract tomorrow. And so I just happened to throw a no-hitter that day, and so he saw that, and the next day I was signed with the Giants.
Nice.
Which is pretty cool, because all my family, we're big Giant fans and stuff like that. My barber, my dentist, everybody.
Yeah.
That I could remember talking to. So it was a great experience to sign for them. I just remember when I got called up, that was just a great experience too, for the first time playing for the Giants out there. So it was, my dad had passed, obviously, and by that time, and so my mom had got the opportunity to, she never saw me pitch in the big leagues before, so that was pretty cool.
And I heard your brother caught one of a foul ball off one of your pitches as well.
Yeah, the first pitch I threw, Alex Galarraga, first pitch I threw, he fouled it off. It bounced once and landed in my brother's hand.
No way. And does he still have that ball, or did he give it to you, or?
I have no idea. Yeah, I have no idea. He's in Texas. I have no idea. I'm sure he does.
Yeah.
I think he wanted to give it to me, and it just never passed along. I know I don't have it.
Yeah.
that much I do know.
And I heard you got to play the field for one game with the Giants as well. Got to play in the outfield and even scale the wall during that game.
Well, I don't know about scaling the wall, but yeah, that sounds really good that I scaled the wall. I got to play. I mean, it was the first double switch. I don't remember if anybody had done that before, but Roger Craig had come out, and he paid me a really good compliment, said, I've seen you shag. I took shagging really, really serious back in that day. He goes, I've seen you shag, you'll be okay. And so he put me in right field and brought in Randy Bacchus to pitch to Dale Murphy, with Ken Griffey Sr. on deck.
Yeah.
And I remember just going out to right field, and I remember thinking to myself, wow, this thing's really far away. I remember thinking that's the first thing I thought. And I thought, man, I give up balls as it far away. And when you're shagging during batting practice, you got all sorts of people around. You got people, shagging. You got the press around. It's just tons of people. And then during the game, I remember just thinking that it was just me and the center fielder and the left fielder. There was just so much territory.
Right.
And I remember after first pitch was a foul ball down the right field line. So I went chasing over the right field line, and it's old Atlanta Fulton County Stadium. And that right field line is just a bullpen. It goes only up about to your thighs. I remember hitting that full blast and almost flipping over into their bullpen.
Yeah.
And their bullpen, my hat came off, and they wouldn't give me my hat back. And so I was fighting with their bullpen, and they're throwing their dip at me. Everything they could throw at me, they're throwing at me, throwing water. So I finally get my hat back, run back to right field, and then the next ball is hit over my head. And I go running, and it obviously was a home run, 13, 14 rows up an inning, and I just kind of ran into the wall. Not so much scaling it, just ran into it. Felt like I almost knocked myself out. I ran into it so hard. I had to come back to pitch to Ken Griffey Sr. He hits a triple off me, and I remember that was not as fun as experience I was hoping it was going to be.
You, of course, also had some more minor league travels in the late 80s, and I'd be remiss if I didn't bring up the infamous or famous Las Vegas Stars baseball card. That story is well documented, and for our listeners who are unfamiliar, basically it's you've got a baseball positioned in your crotch area, and it looks as though you've just been nailed in the nads. And I love that story, and I love it. Kind of just shows how much fun you were having with baseball. I know you're kind of getting your teammates to help you out to get that achieved, just because a lot of the baseball cards, especially the minor league ones, were just so drab and boring. And the story that I read, the photographer was well aware of who was lefty, who was righty, so he was just no nonsense and not putting up with anything. And you managed to get that done by kind of rallying your teammates to not sign the contract unless unless they let you pull this prank. So I guess the question, like I said, is well documented, but I'm just wondering how often you still get asked about that and or asked to sign that card. How much does that come up in conversation with you?
Actually, it comes up more than you would think. I think that card and some of the things, like you said, there's that trade thing, the wackiest trades in baseball, and I think I'm number 8 in that, with that baseball and a dozen baseball cards and all that. And then I've got this baseball card that was, and you're right, it was just a mundane of keeping the same card to do the same thing over and over again, same kind of stretch position or whatever the case may be. And the year before, there was a lot of guys in the big league that had done some baseball cards that had some swear words on it.
Right.
Billy Ripling's famous baseball card.
Yes. So
Topps was very leery now of the next year of guys doing weird baseball cards or not being like, a pitcher couldn't be holding the bat, a position player couldn't be doing the wind-up. They were really strict on these things now. And so, but I just had this wild hair up my butt to do this picture of the comeback of the ball hitting my nuts. I had to have it, and I had to get it done. Now, the best thing that I had going for me was that I had all these prospects in the San Diego. Now, I played 89 and 1990. 88 and 89, I had played with the Las Vegas Stars. So there was so much talent with the Padres that I get confused on exactly who was in the clubhouse. But I know I had some really talented ball players in there.
There was probably someone named Alomar in there.
I had some leverage, yeah. I had a lot of leverage going on.
Yeah.
With those guys not coming down. And me being the older statesman, me being the older guy, I could go up there at that time. It was Sunday afternoon. They could care less if they could come down and take a minor league baseball picture. And so I had that leverage against this photographer. He was on time. He kept looking at his watch. So finally just said, okay. And so I got to take that picture. Now, flash forward 30 years later, all of a sudden, this $5 baseball card, because of all the notoriety, it shoots up to $600. And I'm like, well, sell these cards, sell. Like trading places, sell. So all my brothers, my nieces, my nephews, anybody who had that card, sell.
Did you ever run into that photographer after that? And
I never did. No, I never did. I have no idea what happened to him, and I really didn't know much about that. That card. I remember having seen that card a year later and looking at it for the first time. And it was like I saw my son and my daughter being born for the first time. I was so proud of that card. It was like, Christine, Daniel, that card, same category. Alexandria, same category, right there. It might be fourth in that line, but it's right there with those girls. And I just remember looking at that card, coming home and showing my wife, and her looking at it and going, why are you making that face? I go, you can't even see the ball hitting my nuts? Are you kidding me? And I go, this is the proudest moment of my baseball life.
I loved her reaction of, hey, your eyes are closed here. Like not cluing in right away.
Why are your eyes? Yeah. Everything but nothing looking at the net. Nothing there. And so 30 years later, when I'm getting this, this notoriety from this baseball card, I'm going back to her finally go, see, I told you.
Yeah.
See, I told you. See, the proud guy. 30 years later, this is why I was so proud.
Fantastic. Love
and then
it.
to see other baseball players telling me that they took pictures later in their careers with that baseball, which I had never known, and I'd got in tribute of my card, these guys had made their cards, and then the best part of it, I get these 3 guys who live somewhere in Ohio, and they said they listened to this ESPN radio station tell about the cards. So they took these pictures of themselves with balls on their nuts somewhere in the Grand Canyon somewhere and sent them to me. That was worthwhile too. Now I've got these guys who are beer drinkers in the Grand Canyon taking pictures of balls with their nuts. Again, very proud moment.
Everyone needs a legacy, right?
Everybody needs a legacy. That's what I said. Everybody needs a legacy.
Now, later in, like, between 1989 and 91, you were with the Mariners organization, and that's, of course, when you ended up playing for the Calgary Cannons. And also, like, some of your best baseball in your career at that point. The Mariners, in those early 90s years, really put you to work, and you were a very effective reliever. Tell me a little bit about that time. I mean, you had guys like, you had Griffey Jr. around, Griffey Sr. around, Edgar, Buhner, Harold Reynolds, Omar Vizquel, Randy Johnson, Tino Martinez, some really special players, and a lot of players that are familiar to Calgary baseball fans as well. What were some of the personalities like?
Well, it reminded me that, like I said, all that talent, it just reminded me of the Padres and what I just left and all the talent they had there. So I was putting up some really good numbers because I had so many people that were working behind me. And then I realized as a reliever, you're only as good as the man behind you. And when I was with the relievers, with the Mariners, man, there was just so many good arms behind me, and it was just a pleasure to be with that talent, especially being around with Randy and some of those young guns they had, being the oldest guy around. And you just knew their talent, the future Hall of Famers, Edgar, Omar, probably still has a crack at it, if you ask me. Jay Buhner and just Randy and those guys, but Junior, just being around Junior and himself, and obviously having the opportunity to be around both him and his father. We used to say, what a great kid Junior was, and Senior used to say it's because his mom was so great. Yeah, he had nothing to do with his raising Junior other than being on the baseball field.
Right.
And as baseball fathers, we all knew that to be true. Our sons and our children are only as good as their mothers that were at home with them, because they're the ones that did most of the raising. But with Junior, just being around him as an 18-year-old kid and stuff, one of my favorite stories of him was he was in a really bad hitting slump, and he had struck out, and I was coming out to pitch. He made the third out of the inning. And I remember it was the Brewers, but as they were running off the field to come to hit, Junior was going out to his position, yelling at those guys as they were coming to him, "Don't hit it anywhere near me, because if I'm not hitting, nobody hits." And sure enough, and I just remember as a young 19-year-old kid, being able to say that, and I was really impressed by him. And then the best part of it too, and if he ever got hit, you had to watch out, because Randy was going to hit two other guys. So
yeah, no one wants that.
Stay on our toes, because Randy would say, you hit Junior, I'm going to hit two of you guys.
Now, Jay Buhner in particular seems like someone who would have been similarly aligned comedically with you. Did you ever get into any trouble with Buhner?
No, yeah. Jay's in his class of his own as well. Some of the pranks that they used to do on Dave Niehaus was just absolutely hilarious. He came into his fruition more when I left the Mariners.
Right.
Jay came into fruition really more when I came in. When he was first younger, he was more of a student of watching some of the greater guys. Kenny Phelps before Kenny got traded for the Holman and all that. I mean, for Jay Buhner, he got to watch all those other guys. Matt Sinatra, and Jim Presley, O'Brien, myself. He got to see some of the older guys pull those tricks. Scotty Bankhead, and then he learned from those guys.
Now, 1991 was your last pro year, and again, you pitched for the Calgary Cannons that year. Really good numbers: 3-1 record, 3.28 ERA, 2 saves, 38 Ks, and just over 35 innings. I think you ran into some injury trouble that year. Did you kind of know like that was going to be your last year, or was it just something that you got cut short by injury?
No, that year, being sent down. Now today's view, it would have been called going down to AAA on a rehab assignment. Back then, they didn't have rehab assignments. You just, if you weren't feeling good or if you were hurt, they sent you down to AAA. But the good thing about being sent down to AAA at that time, there was a really good team. And you got to play with some future superstars like Tino Martinez on that time and Richie Amaral, and some of those guys that were on that team at that time. It was so much fun to be down there. But the best thing about being down in Calgary for me, as an older guy, was being able to watch some of those younger guys, and I would never tell them about the cannon. You know, that was my favorite thing. You know, just to watch to watch those younger kids after the home run, the cannon going off. Oh my God, the opposing team and some of my younger pitchers. Oh God, it was comical. So that was the big thing. Don't ever tell anybody. I used to tell those guys, don't say anything about the cannon. That was super. That was a cardinal rule. If some young kid came up, especially a young right fielder that was right next to that cannon, you do not tell that. No. Cardinal rule. Don't say anything about the cannon. You know, Calgary used to put some pitchers right into the psychiatrist's office too.
Yeah.
You can come out of there pitching an inning in the third, giving up 16 runs. You're like, going, holy shit, my career is over. That Calgary Stampede, boy, I'll never forget the Calgary Stampede.
Oh, good.
Oh, my gosh.
You got to check that out.
Yeah,
That's good.
Yeah. Oh, no. I'm talking about the baseball when Sacramento came up, and they gave up 33 runs in one game.
Oh, wow.
5 runs in one series. We called it the Calgary Stampede.
Different kind of stampede, yeah.
Way different kind of stampede. Yeah, we'd have to take the sharp metal objects away from the pitchers, that's for sure.
I won't keep you too much longer because I know you got your grandkids visiting, and I really do appreciate the time you've made for me today. I just got, before we leave, I definitely wanted to hit up on your coaching career because, again, you spent a long time in the minor leagues and going through that system before you ended up with the Texas Rangers, where you're the pitching rehab coordinator now. Tell me just a little bit about that journey and just sticking with it and why it was important to you to remain in the game.
Well, I was the kind of guy, we talked about my dad and some of the advice that he had given me. And I think the best advice for me, because he knew he had 5 boys, every single one of us was different. But I'll never forget the advice he gave me when I wanted to go for baseball and how competitive baseball was. He goes, well, you just make sure that you put all your eggs in this basket then. Because if you have something to fall back on, you'll fall back. And so that's what I did. I put all my eggs in baseball. And in that year in Calgary, or even a couple of years before that, when I was in my 30, 35, 36 years old, I would let coaches, I'd let other organizations know that I'd be into coaching when my playing days were done. And so with that, when I did go into coaching, I always let those guys know that, but I also wanted to let them see the kind of the player I was would also be the kind of coach I was, which was a relational kind of a guy that believed in relationships and so on and so forth. And as a coach, it's really important that you be able to establish relationships, and that's what I was able to do. So with that being said, that's why coaching was so important to me. And I knew I was sacrificing time away from my family. My wife knew that baseball was in my blood, so she was, she was all for that at that time. But then when there just came a certain time where I didn't want to be a big league coach, and I knew that, and I wanted to settle down and be more of a coach that was around my family. So that's where the Rangers came in. The Rangers and I just told them, I said, I don't want to travel. I don't want to go to affiliate. I just want to settle in. And so we came up with this job. It was really one of the early creations of being a rehab pitching coordinator. They just found a need that they have a lot of guys in rehab. We don't know what to do with them. And I said, well, let's create this job. And that's how it started.
Is that role now, is it, like, I assume you have some physical awareness of the arm and the mechanics and everything else, but how much of what you're doing is more on the mental side of things and helping people with that aspect of it?
Well, you hit on the main point. I would say it's probably 90-10.
Yeah. It's
more 90 mental and 10 physical. When a kid comes into rehab, it's either his mechanics brought him in here, overuse brought him in, maybe a new pitch brought him in that he didn't properly throw right. For whatever reason, something came in. For some reason, it came in, and as they progress through the rehab process, as they get through it, sometimes it's mechanics, and sometimes it's just a quick fix, and that's it. But then it gets to a mental point, especially when they get on the mound and they start throwing the breaking stuff. Then they got to start working through some mental cobwebs, because you know what I try to tell the guy: you're going to be out for 14 months. People are passing you up. You know, people are leapfrogging you. I don't care how good you are. If you're a number 1 pick or you're number 35th pick, it doesn't matter. People are passing you up. And so in rehab, you got to hit the ground running when you come out of rehab. You're going to have a stronger body. You're going to have a stronger mental outlook. You've gone through mental toughness that some of these guys haven't gone through. So you're going to have more of a mental toughness coming out than they're going to have. So that's going to be your edge now. So those are the things that they really work on, because it's a grind. It's a tough grind when you go out. I always tell these guys, the days might be short, but the year is long.
Yeah. Yeah, I assume you have to watch for guys wanting to do too much too soon and get back.
Yeah. There's I always tell a guy, we're gonna backtrack. There's sometimes things come up, a setback happens, and we have to backtrack, and that's okay. Sometimes there's things we get sidetracked, and that's okay too. Things that happen in our families that happen to us, and we get sidetracked. Don't worry, I'll bring you back. It's when we get off track, that's what really can set us back a little bit. And so then I got to get these guys back on track.
Keith, the last question for you, and thanks again for joining us. And it's the question we ask everyone who comes on our podcast: what does the game of baseball mean to you?
Oh, boy. What it means and what it meant fall into two different categories now. What it meant to me was obviously a way of supporting my family. And now what it means to me now is that now my pensions are coming in, my minor league pension, my big league pension, and all those things that have taken me, because I'm 65 now. So what it means to me now is everything, because it's my retirement. Mm-hmm. But those things in the middle, those relationships that I've established in the middle, that baseball brought out to me and then has given me, that you couldn't get anywhere else. You like to think that the game of baseball became more of because I was taught by the old generation coaches, the 50s, guys that played in the 50s and the 60s. So baseball was always, a grand old lady to me. It was what they call the grand old dame. And so to respect that game. And so I was always so thankful that the game slowed down for me to jump on, and the game slowed down for me to get off. And I'm glad that because it was like a Ferris wheel. And I know guys that would just stay on the game too long, and then the next thing you know, the game threw them out instead of you being able to walk out. And so being able to walk out graciously, even as a coach, I'm so thankful for that, because I look at the guys that got thrown out of the game. And no matter how good they were, they got thrown out, and they can't get back in.
Keith, thanks so much for this chat today, and all the best to you and your family. And we hope you do enjoy your role with the Rangers and also family at this time of year.
Well, thank you so much. As you can tell, I hate talking baseball. So anytime I get a chance to do that, I love to do that and share about it. So thanks again, man. I appreciate it.
Thanks again to Keith Comstock and Ian Wilson for the great conversation and all the laughs. And of course, thanks to all of you for downloading and listening. We're getting into the Christmas season now, and the best gift we could see would be a rating and review on your app of choice. Those actions, of course, help spread the word about ADS. We'd also like to once again tip our caps to our amazing Platinum supporters for all they do. The Okotoks Dogs will be hosting the WCBL's 2022 All-Star Game and have unveiled their schedule as well. Tickets are available now at dogsbaseball.ca. An AHP Academy was founded this year by Taylor Burns at Absolute Human Performance. Based in St. Albert, they want to prepare athletes to move on to the next level with compassion, integrity, and accountability being their pillars. For more information, head to ahpbaseball.com. Until next time, thanks for all of your support, no matter the platform, of Alberta Dugout Stories.